Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week we had quite a surprise. I was sleeping in my bed, I woke up at the 5 a.m. alarm, I groggily reached over to grab my phone, clicked on my statistics to see what my count was up to, and saw that there was a message, and I thought it said vagabond, and I thought, somebody's mimicking the name. So I look again, and I thought I saw vagabond, and then I thought, it's got to be a name. And then I looked real close at the picture, and there they were. And indeed, I got a message from Le Vagabond this week. So one little piece of advice that I was given was to make sure everyone knows there's nothing in this video that is sponsored. I am not promoting specifically anything for anyone. I'm just a kind of a geeky guy who gets really excited, naturally enthusiastic, call it. So be assured, nothing is being paid for here. I don't have enough subscribers to be of value to anybody, and I hope you enjoy this week's video. So getting into it, this week we are going to the mid-size offering from Katana's relatively new brand, Bali, the Bali 4.6. Today we're going to, as always, review specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 other new comparables, do a full tour asking what would Sylvia say, navel gaze at an innovation and or adjustment that might make life on board a little bit easier, have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old comparables, and finally give it a Dave score and compare it to everything else we've looked at. From Vancouver, British Columbia, we fly across the Atlantic to the west coast of France and the home of last week's yacht at the Marston Composite Yards in the old submarine base in Lorient. From here, we head southeast across France to the Katana Yards and the home of Bali Catamarans. For our wine pairing this week, we head inland and south to the vineyards of Domaine du Silène. Domaine du Silène, the paradise of the hawk and the kestrel. At Domaine du Silène, the fusion of the best Italian know-how and the terroirs of the south of France is being prepared. It is the result of a collaboration started in 1992 between Jean-Claude Mas and his mentor, Giorgio Grai, recognized as one of the greatest oenologists in the world, Luigi Verronelli Prize 2015. Which allowed Jean-Claude Mas to realize the dream of his grandfather, Raymond Mas, by acquiring the Domaine du Silène in 2014. Adjacent to Chateau Paul Mas, near the Cistercian Abbey of Valmenieu, you can admire a 360-degree view of the Hérault Valley, the Mediterranean Sea, the Cévennes, the Montagnac, and the Pyrenees. The vines are surrounded by truffle oaks and olive grove, all protected by pine forests and scrubland, rural luxury at its peak. The name of Silène was born from the discovery of a rock in this very stony ground, which would have represented the head of Silène, the precipitator of Bacchus, Roman god corresponding to Dionysus in Greek mythology, the god of the vine. The wine is 60% Syrah, 40% Grenache Noir, aged in French and American oak for 12 months. Ah, delish. Let's go have a look at that boat. Looking at this boat, it's sort of like looking at the Volvos of old. A box on wheels, and this is sort of a bit of a box with a sail on it, but it has its benefits. The amount of space, it's relatively light, well built, that of course now famous rigid front trampoline, or lack thereof, and the incredible fully enclosed and yet fully openable rear cockpit that extends the entire saloon out back, while you still have something of a cockpit in back. Nice, simple davit system. And of course, you can see the ladders and all of the accoutrements that you need. But yeah, she has a beautiful flying bridge and a lot of interesting benefits to be said about her. So, moving to the new comparables, we're looking at the Bali 4.6, the Neil 47, the Outremer 45, and the Naughtytech 44 Open. Thankfully this week, I've actually got things that you can totally compare. So your sail area on these, you're looking at 120 square meters for the Bali 4.6. Closest one to it would be the Outremer and the Naughtytech at 106 square meters, so it's doing quite well there. Moving onto the cabin top, you can see the size of the Bali in both length and breadth compared to the others. I'm sorry I only have one line drawing here of the cabin tops. I've had to grab over top photos to get a decent representation, but it gives you a sense of it. The Neil 47 obviously has an additional width to it, probably about a foot. And you can see the extensive cabin top lounge and helm area on the Bali 4.6. Now, moving inside to the saloon, you can see the impact of that garage door back that they've got on the back of this Bali, and those big sliding doors to create an indoor-outdoor rear saloon slash rear cockpit slash saloon extension. It's just gigantic. If you note again, this is one of the few that has the front door into the cockpit and then out onto the sun pads. And because you don't have trampolines, those sun pads are the size of a football field. The Neil 47, again, very large looking saloon area, but it's deceptive because your owner's cabin is on the main floor, taking up a big chunk of that. Outremer 45, quite modest by comparison. The saloon's probably, the true saloon is probably a little bit bigger, and then they have their full aft cockpit. And then the Naughtytech Open, really the 44 has quite a small saloon. It may look comparable, but it feels smaller than any of the others. Good sized rear cockpit. It should be noted that on the 46, that rear cockpit doesn't take up the entire rear of the vessel. There is decent space between that garage door and the aft, and has a nice settee along the back. So you almost have the best of both worlds. Okay, heading now into the actual cabins themselves, you can see the massive width of the Bali 4.6 hulls, and this is where you're going to get punished for choosing this kind of space. You're just not going to get the speed, but we'll look at the numbers and you can have a look for yourself. The Neil 47, like little spiny needle point hulls, the Amas on the outside, the main hull in the center, but you pay for that in your cabin size. They're quite narrow. The Outremer 45, again, really slim hulls. Of course, this is something of a speed machine, and you can see it in the construction. You pay for it in that, well, some would call it pay for it. Sylvia would call it pay for it, in the fact that your bed is sandwiched into that hull and you have no access except to the foot. Naughtytech 44 Open, sort of a compromise. It actually looks like it might go pretty good, but we'll have a look at those numbers. It is a bit short, but those hulls are not extraordinarily wide. So let's go to the numbers. And again, we've added the SA over D, the sail area to displacement, and the D over L, displacement to hull length. Bear in mind, displacement here, I'm stuck taking a light ship weight. It's the only consistent factor that I've got. So these numbers are going to be exaggerated. However, I'm using the same base displacement across all the models, so you will have a relative comparative. As we look at the pricing, you can see the Neil 47 is quite a value at about 30,000 less than most of the others. The going down then into the actual length, the Outremer 45 has the lead at 48 feet. And then if we go into the draft, again, the Outremer has the lead at lowest would be 1.25 meters. And then heading to weight, the Outremer has it again at 8.7. So let's have a look at the displacement here. We got 13.8 on the Bali 4.6. We have 10.8 on the Neil 47. We have 8.7 on the Outremer 45, and we have 10.9 on the Nauditech. So you are paying about a 3-ton or 6,000 pound penalty for all that space. Let's see if the sail area makes up for it. So moving to the actual upwind sail area, as we noted, the Bali has the lead by about 10, 11 square meters. And looking at tankage, the Bali has the lead at 800 with nobody even close. Hull material, I'm going to give the nod to the Outremer with e-glass and carbon fiber reinforcements, vinyl ester coating, solid glass below the waterline to give it resistance to grounding, and of course a foam core. The more I read about the way they're designing, I know there are those that say, oh no, you should have this is all vinyl ester. Sorry, some of their boats still have the polyester. Their logic for that is that it's available all over the world. But this, according to my stuff that I found out here, is vinyl ester. So if I'm incorrect there, please let me know. Going to the battery banks, now these are hard to find. I got 3 of the 4. We've got 12 volt system and 9.4 kilowatt hours. Getting into the sail area to displacement and all of the performance stats and ratios here, the Outremer just kills everybody. So you've got, and on sail area to displacement, high man winds, you got 27.17 on the Outremer. The next closest is going to be it's the Bali, 22.6. Going to displacement to hull length, again, of course, the Outremer wins at 70.22. Here it is low man winds, like in Gulf. The next closest there is the Neil 47 at 105.9. So to give you a better sense, the sail area to displacement is equivalent to power. How much power does your vessel have? And it seems the Outremer is way out in front. Surprisingly, the Bali's next. Displacement to hull length is the heaviness. So, of course, again, the Outremer is way out ahead at 70.22, with the Neil next at 105. The Bali is last, dead last, which tends to make sense. And your Bruce number is there for those of you who are interested in such a thing. If you're enjoying this content, please click a like, share this out with a couple of like-minded friends, and hit subscribe. And for all the gentlemen out there, this really is for the ladies out there. If you could possibly get your wives to watch this, and if they could possibly comment, and if they love sailing, for goodness sake, please get them to comment and tell Sylvia why they like sailing and why this circumnavigation is a great idea. Needless to say, I would really appreciate the support. Thanks. Hopping on board, what would Sylvia say? So, again, the aft section, fairly boxy, but attractive. That lovely teak inlays here on both the back deck where the tender goes, and the full back cockpit here is really nice. You can see even between that garage door and the back, there is a decent little cockpit there. There's a decent little settee there. You can see the level of finish, the sliding door in that garage door element. For those of you who haven't seen, it's like the old single panel door that slides up and in. And when I got into the interior here, really the little details they've added, like the buttoning on the back of the seats, makes a big difference. The addition of these 2 club chairs with the little wine storage thing in between them really looks elegant. Some of their lighting and fixtures look nice. The galley, very comfortable. Obviously, the trademark ginormous American style fridge. The compression post really doesn't bother you. It's in a nice high gloss chrome. And again, look at the little occasional lamps and the wall sconces beside the front door. Nice little touch with the frosted glass between the back of the counter and your eating lounging space. And as you come back and look up, you can see, I wanted to show here what it actually looked like when the door was down, and does it look ugly and tacky? It doesn't. They've done a nice job at the fairing. Of course, you see the rails, but the rest of the ceiling very nicely padded. The forward-facing nav, very attractive. I'd love to see a permanent seat there, but I'm not going to cry on a 46-foot boat. So, heading into navel gazing. Well, this week's navel gazing is all about anti-foul. Of course, we all know that these lovely boats need to be pulled out, scraped off, repainted on a regular basis, and now everyone is becoming concerned about the toxicity of the various paint-on coatings, whether it be a traditional anti-foul or the copper coat or any of these sacrificial coatings. Of course, we've seen the sort of that fuzzy material that the Dutch couple put on the bottom of their Beneteau 57, and it looks interesting. I saw it at the show, but I have seen their follow-on. They did have to do a few patches. It worked quite well, but it's still a lot of work and quite costly. So I wanted to look into a product that I'd heard about, and it's ultrasonic anti-fouling. Now, I'd seen different things on this, and it wasn't until I saw a BoatTest.com episode by the illustrious and very trustworthy Captain Steve that I really thought this is an idea that should be attempted. So, the fouling process of marine organisms attaching and growing on the surface below the waterline is what we're talking about. The most common method to fight back against fouling is the use of bottom paint. Bottom paints and bottom coatings are available in a variety of formulations to help slow fouling. These bottom paints can include combinations of toxins, chemicals, and mechanical properties. The purpose is to prevent marine organisms from attaching to your underwater surfaces. Bottom paint alone is not very effective method of stopping marine fouling. Most all boats which are kept in the water must be routinely cleaned to remove the excessive fouling, with the bottom paint most effectively just providing an easily cleanable surface, protecting the hull from damage created by fouling and abrasive cleansers. Ultrasonic anti-fouling provides much more prevention when compared to bottom paint alone. When ultrasonic anti-fouling is combined with bottom paint, a more effective solution is achieved, with the ultrasonic effect providing long periods between needed bottom cleaning, while the bottom paint provides physical protection from the hull and easier, less damaging cleaning experience. So the one that I was looking at, that Captain Steve was reviewing, is Hull Shield. And Captain Steve went and did a full test himself, and basically found that it really did prevent marine biofouling. Obviously, you have improved performance. It saved a lot of money and time. You can watch his video. There's a link here to it in the description. But he goes into the remarkable result he saw and the reason he feels that you don't hear more about ultrasonic anti-fouling. And bear in mind, this is being used commercially in navies and fleets all over the world. So this isn't some Johnny-come-lately solution. It's an easy installation. They've got installations for your hull and installations for your prop area. and it's environmentally friendly and obviously increases the resale value of your boat. Of course, if you can't trust Captain Steve, who can you trust? So I'll leave that with you. Back on board now. We're scanning past that forward-facing nav, those lovely occasional lamps. We're down into the owner's hull where you have a nice little table for makeup or whatever. You have a lovely little settee. I don't know how much it will get used, but it does add a sense of elegance. The hulls are nice and they're bright. The side windows could be bigger, but the aft window's good. And there's lots of storage. You can access the bed on two sides. And it's a very comfortable, homey space. The tones of wood they've used or Alpi are very nice. Now heading back, you've got good storage. You've got a separate head compartment with its own sink. You know, the fit and finish feels quite nice. You've got rounded corners in various areas. It doesn't feel too cheesy. You've got very nice storage areas. You've got handholds that have a combination of leather and heavy chrome. And back in this, bearing in mind, we're in a 46-foot. It has twin sinks on a good-sized counter, extra counter space over there for the pharmacy, and a good-sized shower area. So really nothing to complain. Great ventilation in the head. So let's move across and up. Those steps are nice. There's your escape hatch. You got nice little brushed aluminum on the edge of the steps, finishing them off. You can see, you know, it was a fairly crowded area, and yet you still had a lot of space. Now all I got to do is click my fingers and people disappear, so that's just super. Be nice to me. Heading down the stairs onto the passenger side or the guest side, you've got the central head with it's a completely dry head, nice shower, nice plexi door. Nice little bunk room here. My temptation would be to remove the bunks and turn this into a pantry / laundry room. But great little bunk room, storage, not a whole heck of a lot, but enough. And then we head forward. Oh, no, we're not going to head forward. We're going to pop outside. Sorry, I zipped outside just to give you a sense of where we're going next. So we're going to head forward in this hull to the VIP stateroom. And here again, you have two-side access to your bunk, lots of storage space around it, a very comfortable space. Okay, let's head up, and I believe we are heading out the front. Now, this is their claim to fame, obviously, one of the two claims to fame. They share that with Leopard, but you have great access out the front. You don't have to waddle up the side to get to the bow. You can go straight through your galley area. Massive bow area. Remember, this is a 46-foot boat. You have a full forward cockpit, massive forward sun pads, princess seats, because as opposed to last week's yacht, this is for princesses. It's not for Batman. Looking up, got a good size rig there. Of course, it's all aluminum. And you've got flush hatches where you have hatches. Now, Bali themselves don't put hatches on your side decks, so that does certainly keep them clear. We're going to head back and then up onto the fly bridge. Here you've got, look at the massive storage for your lines. So you're not going to have a tangle of spaghetti up here. Comfortable seating for the captain and a friend. And all of your desired instruments right at your fingertips with all of your winches and lines within easy reach. Now looking around back, you can see you've got a beautiful lounge area on the far aft and a really nice upper cockpit for sundowners beside the captain here. But you do not have aft visibility. You got forward visibility, but you better have a camera hooked up to your Raymarine on this puppy. Heading down the sides. One note, that was another thing that Le Vagabond mentioned, I should mention more, is safety. You did note the handholds all the way along. This does give quite a sense of safety here. You've got now your access to your third guest cabin in the guest hull. So complete privacy for them, captain's quarters, crew quarters, whatever you might want. And it's a very comfortable berth. You have full two-side access to the berth and its own head and shower, and very, very comfortable. It is a wet head, but you know, nothing wrong with that, especially there. Now look at the curved corners there. That's a nice detail. I'm not sure why they don't do it on Katana. In fact, I was thinking to myself as I reviewed this tour that I actually like the finish in the Bali more than I like the finish in the new Katana 50. Just a quick reminder again, if you're enjoying the content, hit a subscribe, share it out, and give us a like if you could. Thank you. Moving into pre-owned comparables, our first yacht is the Neil 47. Bear in mind now we've taken the base price of the Bali 4.6. We've added 50%, so we're up to 845, 130 USD for a sail away. And let's compare that to a 2021 Neil, and we're looking there at 825. I would save for performance. I would take the Bali. Next up, we've got a Katana 47, 2017. Obviously a strong performance boat, built by the same shipyards, and you're looking at, again, 845, 130 USD for the Bali 4.6, and for the Katana, 5 years old, you're looking at 760,665. I would probably slide to the Katana on this. It's quite a comfortable boat, and the comfort versus the added performance would probably take me there. Next, 2020 Lagoon 46, a direct head-to-head competitor. So this one's 2 years old, and we're looking at a savings of about 80,000. I would probably take the Bali on this one, simply because neither one is a great performance. I'd have to go back and look at the data on the 46, but my guess is the Bali might even beat it because it's large sail area, and I believe it's a fair bit lighter than the Lagoon 46. So I'd go with the Bali on this one. Next, we're looking at an Auditech 46 Fly, 2019, 3-year-old boat. Very nice boat, very lovely fit and finish. I know a lot of people hate the Fly version of this, but the quality and the layouts and everything in this boat, it's a darling of mine. So you're looking on a 3-year-old at 849,500 versus 845, 130 for a brand new sail away Bali. Wow. I'd leave that one up to Sylvia. I'd let her look at it. As if I couldn't let her look at it. That's kind of a silly statement, but there you go. 2019 Fountain Peugeot Seona 47. So we're looking at a 3-year-old boat. They're asking 944,775, almost 950,000. Basically 100 grand US more than a brand new Bali 4.6. I like the Seona, but not that much. I don't really think it's going to be that much faster than the Bali, if any more. Aesthetically, it's a much more attractive boat, but for sheer functionality, space-wise, I'd probably do the Bali. Okay, moving on to the Dave score. So, I want to remind you, please, you can participate in the Dave score by going to the section of the description there and clicking on the link to the survey. And bear in mind, this is called the Dave score because all of this is completely subjective. Everything is your opinion and your taste. I was reminded of this again by a comment that Le Vagabond left, which was my low score for the Lazy Sailor on the ORC 57. His comment was you could do 10 knots with 2 reefs in, what's easier than that? Which made me laugh because that is, you know, that's a completely different perspective, but he's right from that perspective, from a true sailor's perspective. Absolutely, easy sailor all the way. That thing will fly with almost no sail. So you're having to work on the sails a lot more with a sort of a luxury vessel like a Privilege. But when I think of lazy sailor, I'm thinking of things like electric winches, electric head sail furlers, all of that sort of stuff. But he makes a great point, which is why I absolutely love the comments you give. So please contribute and add a comment or two. Okay, heading on to the Dave score. Where does the Bali 4.6 end up? Well, it ends up fairly well down the bottom. The interior, as far as elegance goes, I'll give it a 6. Maybe I'm a little harsh there, but it's a little RV-esque. The exterior, 5. It's just too boxy. The interior comfort, I'm going to give it a 7. It is quite comfortable. And the exterior comfort, I'm giving it an 8 because you have so many places to lounge around and enjoy yourself. You could have 3 families on there, hate each other, and still have lots of space. Quality, I'm going to give it a 7. It felt good. And I know the technologies they're using in the hull construction are really quite good. And that solid forward trampoline has proven its worth. And I've seen, you know, Atlantic Crossings using it and experienced sailors, and they all say it works. The performance, I'll give it a 7. This probably should go lower. Bearing in mind, when I'm thinking of performance, I'm comparing this to really non-performance yachts. It's only now, after I've been influenced bit by all of you guys out there, that I'm starting to go, you know, I like performance. I think I could maybe convince Sylvia of that. Lazy sailor, I'm going to give it a 7. Everything comes back. You got a lot of power options, all that good stuff. Condo, an 8, of course. It is a floating condo. That's the very description of it. Geek, give it a 6. There's nothing really wildly unique. I mean, the garage door thing now, Windaloo's doing it. You got the trifold that Seawind has, and a few others like that. So it's just too boxy to be really a geek appeal. Value for money, give it a 6, maybe a 7. Again, you know, I review my, you know, one of my favorite monohulls is the Oysters, and the new Oyster 495. If I could probably have my dream boat, it'd be a 565 or 595. And then you go to the Catamaran equivalent, the Discovery 50, and just, you know, that quality of finish. I know it's more expensive, but it's who I am. So I would put greater value on that, and it would, if we had higher quality finishes in here, it would boost that number. So overall, we get 67 out of 100, putting it just ahead of the Neil 47, which I think is appropriate, just behind the Naughty Tech 44 and Outremer 50, well behind the Outremer 51. I would say that's a good position for it. Moving into our art of the region. L'Étude de Collier is a painting by Henri Matisse from 1905. It's an example of the pointillist style that Matisse employed during his early period of Fauvism. Henri-Émile Benoit Matisse, 1869 to 1954, was a French visual artist known for both his use of color and his fluid and original draftsmanship. He was a draftsman, printmaker, and sculptor, but is known primarily as a painter. Matisse is commonly regarded, along with Pablo Picasso, as one of the artists who best helped to define the revolutionary developments in the visual arts throughout the opening decades of the 20th century, responsible for significant developments in painting and sculpture. The intense colorism of the works he painted between 1900 and 1905 brought him notoriety as one of the Fauvist French for wild beast. Many of his finest works were created in the decades or so after 1906, when he developed a rigorous style that emphasized flattened forms and decorative pattern. In 1917, he relocated to a suburb of Nice on the French Riviera, and the move relaxed style of his work during the 1920s gained him critical acclaim as an upholder of the classical tradition in French painting. After 1930, he adopted a bolder simplification of form. When ill health in his final years prevented him from painting, he created an important body of work in the medium of cut paper collage. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this week's yacht, this week's wine, and this week's art of the region. If you have any comments, I would love to see them. I really enjoy responding. I love the points of view. Your perspectives are so varied and often make me stop and think twice and re-look at things. So please continue with those comments. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week.